Hey everyone, Blind Brian Zane here with my AEW Dynamite review. I still have no glasses. I will be getting them though tomorrow morning, so I'm very excited for that. And then all will feel right with the world again. I tell you what else felt right on Wednesday night was watching Dynamite from the packed Arthur Ashe Stadium. 20,000 people there in attendance for arguably AEW's biggest episode of TV since, you can argue their inception of Dynamite. This was a big deal. The fact they were able to fill this massive arena in WWE's backyard, essentially, and put on this really stellar show overall, I'd have to say. It kicks off with Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega in the Dream match, non-title, of course, and the crowd is electric for this. They pop so loud just for the first bell ringing and for the first lockup because they're witnessing this awesome moment here. And the match itself definitely lived up to the hype. There was some great technical wrestling. There were some smacks. There were some kicks. It's just basically the kind of match you would come to expect from two just raw physical guys who are so expertly talented in their craft like Danielson and Omega. This was just a wrestling fan's dream for sure. Omega working Danielson's head and neck area. He's like a snapdragon on the ramp at one point in the match. And by the way, I did really enjoy the LED or the projection ramp they used on this show. I love when they can have like character exclusive styles and patterns like we saw during the show tonight, for example. A lot of big V triggers as well. There was an avalanche dragon suplex at one point, just busting out these incredibly insane moves. But Brian, I should say, is able to come back in a big way. More kicks. Hither and yon. He's going for the label lock. He's working Omega's arm frequently. Felt like this thing locked in, or he tries to, but Omega fights out of it. They're smacking each other and just beating each other up. And finally, the bell rings. Time has expired. The 30-minute time limit draw has happened. There's no decisive winner here. And then you've got the rest of the Super Elite kind of breaking up the fight. Then you got Cole and the Young Bucks triple super kicking Danielson when he's down. And then the Jurassic Express makes the save. But yeah, what a great way to open this show with a fantastic half hour of just pure wrestling madness. The draw was the best possible outcome for this thing because you didn't want to see either guy lose. So I think fans got the best of both worlds, and obviously it opens the door for other matches with them down the line. But I mean, if this is just a taste of what we can get from them, then I think then this was worth the wait for the first time in how many years since PWG days these guys wrestle each other, and they definitely delivered on this night. Well, this Friday, CM Punk has his first match on TV in over 7 years when he takes on Powerhouse Hobbs on Rampage. Funny that. CM Punk and I share a common opponent in Powerhouse Hobbs. So anyway, Punk has a promo here to talk about that. He talks about how professional wrestling, it's been a long time, he says, since professional wrestling has been in New York City. And then he talks about the love fest there's been between he and the fans. So he mentions it's hard to stay mad because everyone says, but CM Punk, you should be mad. You should be angry and pissed off. So it's hard to stay mad, he says, when the fans react to him the way they do. And now Team Taz is trying to take your Cult of Personality music away from you, and they try to put him out of action and put him through the table and everything. But Team Taz didn't get the job done, and that was their big mistake. They didn't finish the job. He's not here to, lecture people or wake people up about him. It's to tuck them in. He says, Powerhouse Hobbs, he's putting you to sleep on Friday. And that's how the promo ends. Very strong promo by Punk, and really makes me want to see that match. A grudge match between MJF and Brian Pillman Jr. This goes back to a few weeks ago in Cincinnati when MJF caused quite a ruckus talking smack to Pillman's aunt and his sister and what have you. And so we have this match here. I think this is a good, classic babyface versus heel matchup, and it was performed very well by these guys. MJF, quite the rapscallion, using Julia Hart as a human shield at one point, like grabbing her wrist, and then Pillman makes the save. Brian goes for Air Pillman, but MJF catches him into the Salt of the Earth armbar. Pillman taps out, and MJF wins once again. Like I said, this is a fairly straightforward match of good guy versus bad guy. I think both guys played their roles very well. Pillman, in one of his bigger tests, I'd have to say, getting this kind of like primetime spot on this big show of Arthur Ashe Stadium, I think he passed the test very well. I think he's got quite a future for himself as a singles guy, if and when the Varsity Blondes eventually break up. But I think as far as a showcase of what each guy can do, I think this is a pretty good match. Alex Marvez backstage with Chris Jericho and Jake Hager talking about their match with Ethan Page and Scorpio Scorpio Sky this week on Rampage. Jake Hager calling the Men of the Year the Boys of the Week. Ooh, sick burn there, Jakey boy. And Jericho talks about Paige and Sky as well, and he threatens the fat-faced dipshit, Dan Lambert, threatens to bite his nose off like Haku would in Japan. And so, yeah, that was a pretty straightforward promo between these guys. And then we have another grudge match here, Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes. Last time we saw him was in his loss to Black several weeks ago, where Black stole one of Cody's boots. And I'll tell you what, the New York fans do not like the Rhodeses. Not at all, because he comes out there. Well, first of all, he's dressed more like Homelander than Captain America. Let's put it that way. And the fans don't care for him. Arn gets a bit of a pop when he comes out. Brandy Rhodes shows up. First time we've seen her since she had the baby, and she looks great post baby body. Good for her. And it was good to see her there. Earlier in the match, you've got Malachi Black doing the flippy and the sit down thing, and Brandy actually kind of mocks him for it. Does the sit down, then throws the double deuce in his face. Pretty much everything Cody did in this matchup, the fans booed, and everything Malachi did, the fans cheered. It was one of those Bizarro World crowds you might have heard about, and that kind of threw me for a loop in this thing. It really kind of, I don't want to say it ruined the match, but it definitely impeded my enjoyment of this match, because it kind of threw me off, because hey, I'm not saying, oh, you should have to boo, you should have to cheer Cody because he's Cody. I'm just saying, hearing that was just it took me out of it a little bit in this thing. Black kicks out of the Cody Cutter, followed up with the Crossroads, and when that's happening, Arn Anderson gets on the apron. He tries to go around one of the ring posts, and in doing so eats shit and falls off, but he gets back on the apron, and we get this incidental contact where Cody collides with Arn. He goes to check on Arn, and Arn shoves him, saying, don't worry about me, get back in the ring. And Cody's acting very aggressive in the corner. He shoves the referee out of the way. And when that happens, Malachi sprays the Black Mist. But unfortunately, it doesn't really get Cody in the eyes, though he's selling it in the eyes. He gets him more just in the mouth and the chest area. But that's enough for Malachi to roll Cody up and win. So now he's 2-0 against Cody Rhodes here. And I thought the match was good, for sure. Again, the crowd was a weird dynamic I wasn't expecting, and it kind of affected my attention span and my enjoyment of the match. But I was just more than anything surprised that Malachi won again. This does not seem to be over by a long shot, so I'm sure we'll get that inevitable third matchup where Cody probably wins in the end. But the question is, next time they do face off, and next time we see Cody again, how will that market respond to him going forward? Up next, FTR takes on Sting and Darby Allin. FTR, by the way, rocking some NWO-inspired gear tonight. And this match was pretty good. Sting looking great for his age. He does a lot of the heavy lifting in the first part of the match up here. Then Darby takes a lot of the heat. He is caught mid-coffin splash, and then it's kind of drop face first on the apron by FTR. He takes a lot of the heat in this thing. And then Sting does the hot tag, and he does his stingy thing, and continues to look really good here. He's got the Scorpion Deathlock put in on Dax, and you've got Cash kind of grabbing his wrist and kind of holding on to him. Darby with a big coffin drop off the top onto Cash's back on the apron. So that allows Sting to have Dax unimpeded. Dax taps out, and Sting and Darbs win. This is just a fun tag team match. FTR looking stellar in this thing. And like I said, just to see Sting and the reaction that he got and how he performed in this match, it's always kind of a joy to see him still kind of going strong at this point. And I think it was a pretty solid match. In your main event, Dr. Britt Baker defends the AEW Women's Championship against Ruby Soho, who won the Casino Battle Royal at All Out to earn this title match. And the crowd was very conflicted here early on. They liked both ladies. We had some dueling chants for the two of them as this match was beginning. Ruby's pretty strong to start off. She hits a big dive to the outside onto Rebel and Jamie Hayter. That allows Britt to capitalize. Some more back and forth as this match goes on. A wide variety of kicks throughout this thing between both ladies. I love how much of a homer Tony Schiavone is for Britt Baker, emphasizing the good friend thing. One of my favorite lines here is in this match when they're teasing a superplex spot between the two of them, and Tony's like, oh, well, if Ruby suplexes her out of the ring, at least, Rebel can absorb the impact and break her fall. I just love that. Just totally throwing Rebel under the bus here for this hypothetical suplex spot. Ruby comes back in a big way, hits the no return. That's her new name for her, the former Riot kick. And then you've got Rebel and Jamie both getting up and distracting. That causes enough distraction distraction for Britt to take Ruby down, get her in the lockjaw, and make Ruby tap out. So Britt wins here in the end. Strong match. I think both ladies looked really good here, and it's a great showcase for Ruby, who, it's crazy to think, how underutilized she was in WWE, some would say, how just basically she wasn't there for a long time, wasn't on TV, and within a month, within like 2 weeks of her debut in AEW, has already made eventing on TV, on a big show like this. So I think it's a testament to her ability, and I think that both of them did a really good job in this match. Finish was a little cheap, but then again, at least it's in line with Britt's character. It didn't feel out of the ordinary, so it didn't feel like it was depriving us of something that, we didn't expect. My grade for this week's Dynamite is a B+. The only reason I don't put it in the A category is for this. I think the wrestling from front to back was great. Even if Cody and Malachi was my pick for the weakest match of the evening, I wouldn't call it a bad match. Everything was good to great. My only thing is, as much as the wrestling was good, I gotta have a bit of sizzle with my steak. And so we didn't get a whole lot in terms of other story development that wasn't in the ring. Or, CM Punk's promo was good, but I would have liked to have seen some other kind of character work or promo work from other people that kind of built things more and planted more seeds and that sort of thing. But that being said, like I mentioned, the wrestling was phenomenal across the board, especially the opening match with Danielson and Omega. A classic match any way you slice it. And the show started strong and ended strong with the women's main event. This shows another example of what AEW doing right now is appearing to work. And I think that I mentioned this not only in these videos, but in the podcast as well, and in videos in the past. The last several weeks, whether you're a WWE fan or an AEW fan or a Ring of Honor fan or whatever, seems like this time we are living in at this moment. 2021 has just been a great year for wrestling and for wrestling fans, and I think that the last couple of weeks especially have really shown that when wrestling, it's been said before, it's a big cliche, but it really holds true. When wrestling is done right, nothing feels better about that. And so I think the last several weeks, it's just been a very overall positive experience to be a wrestling fan. So I'm very grateful that we're living in these times as fans, and I hope that you all are as well. That's a mouthful to say, but what did you think of Dynamite this week, folks? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.